Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. I am Miss Boyde. I'm a pediatrician, and I'm going to be here for the next 1 hour to answer any questions that you may have about the health of your children. Welcome, welcome. I hope you've had a beautiful Monday. This program is brought to you by Ask the Pediatricians Foundation, and our mission on Ask the Pediatricians Foundation is to promote the health and the welfare of all children globally, especially in Nigeria, in Africa, where majority of our children are still dying from largely preventable causes. So I want to especially welcome every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time of joining us, you're welcome. Feel free to drop your questions on whichever platform you're watching on, whether on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Just drop your questions and we will answer them in the next 1 hour. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'm just going to make sure I also share the video. So just give me a couple of minutes to do that, and then we can start. All right. And I also want to encourage you to help us share the video as well. So just let's share together so as many people can watch the program. So if you know somebody that should be watching, so just invite them to join us now. All right. Welcome. While we're sharing the video, so if you have any questions, feel free to start dropping your questions now, and I will try and answer them in the next 1 hour. But just to let you know that even if you cannot, after the 1 hour, when we're no longer live, you'll still have the opportunity to ask your questions on our Facebook group. So our Facebook group is available from Mondays to Saturdays. So you can always ask any questions that you have relating to the health of your children on our Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. But if it has to do with adult health issues, pregnancy, and all that, you can ask on our ATP family Facebook group. All right, I think I've shared the videos. Let me just make sure they are all pinned in the rightful places, and then we can start. We can start to take the questions. For those who are not aware, just to remind you that we have started our project, the ATP Schools First Aid Care Project. We've been to Ekiti and I think Plateau State. So, and of course, for those of you who are online, you have access also to our resources. You can go to our page and download, go through the course online where you can listen to all the videos by myself and some of our doctors, and then you can download the booklets yourself for your children as well. But we're hoping to come to all the schools near you very soon. So just watch out for us. Our goal is to empower the secondary school students and the school communities on how to respond to basic medical emergencies. So that will lead to less panic and a lot of wrong form of resuscitation that we do see on our videos on our Nollywood movies and all that. And even in the streets, people should know what to do if somebody should collapse, if somebody is having a seizure, because sometimes that may make a difference between life and death. And so that's the goal of that project. And we'll really, really thank all those who have supported us in donating and all that. But we still need more because it's a huge project. Our goal is to go through all the schools in Nigeria. So that's a huge project. So we're doing the pilot phase right now. And so we will still want to do more. So we appreciate if you can support us, donate. You can sponsor your own secondary school. If you're an alumni, you can decide, say, if you come to my own secondary school, this is the number of students, and we will tell you how much it's going to cost us to produce the materials and everything. And we will go there for free. But you can support us financially with the production of those first aid reminder booklets that we're going to give to the students in your school. So we will appreciate your donations and your support. If you want to talk to us more about that, please you can reach us on our email, askthepediatricians@gmail.com, or our WhatsApp number is everywhere where you're watching now. When on Facebook, on Instagram, is also there in the pin poster. So thank you so much for those who have been supporting us and for those who are joining us. So good evening. Okay, I think I'm ready now to start. So welcome everyone to ATP Live Monday. Feel free to drop your questions and we'll try and answer them in the next 1 hour. I can't see any question yet on Instagram. I can't see any question yet on Facebook. So I guess everybody's still getting ready. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have about the health of your children's life. Okay. So feel free to remember to drop your questions. Remember, when you are starting your questions, start with the age of the child. Don't just say my baby, my baby. Please let us know the age of your baby, and so that we know the context, and try and keep your questions simple, short, and straight to the point. And make sure you ask specific questions. Don't just give us information and not ask any questions about your children's health, so that we don't just if you give us information and you don't tell us what you want us to do with that information, we will find it very difficult to know what is going on in your mind. So feel free to answer the questions. To put your questions and be very specific. All right. And I hope you've all taken your girls for the HPV immunization. If you have not, please, this is to remind you that we now have the human papillomavirus vaccine available throughout Nigeria. So all girls aged 9 to 14 years should take this immunization. It's been given in schools, it's been given in the health centers nearest to you. So make sure you go there. The goal is to protect our children against HPV, and HPV has been linked to cervical cancer. This is one of the most common cancers in women generally, and the 95% of cervical cancers are linked to HPV infection. So if we give our children HPV vaccine, then they are not likely going to have HPV cervical cancer in future. So it's a great investment in life of our children. So please take your children for this immunization. If you don't know much about it and you want to know, last week I did my presentation on ATP Hour was on HPV and cervical cancer, which is available on all our platform videos, podcasts. So I will encourage you to try and go and listen to it so that you have clarity and understanding on what HPV is and the link to cervical cancer and why it's so important for your girls to be immunized. All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Amaka. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Facebook user. Thank you for joining us. I still don't have any questions. Okay, I hope it's not like today. There are no questions today. That's fine. But if you have any question, I'm here. I have got an hour to answer your questions. So let's do it now so that we'll be able to we'll do it now before we'll have to run and everybody will not start asking questions last minute. So let's go. All right. Um, Good evening, Phone Kids Beauty on Instagram. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to ATP Live Monday. Feel free to ask your questions now. Feel free to ask your questions. Um, I can't see any question now. Is there any question you're eligible to ask? Yes, you can ask any question as long as it has to do with the health of your children. So we're talking about children. I'm a pediatrician, so obviously I should be answering any questions that have to do with children. So, Tilbels, you're welcome. Please ask any question that a pediatrician can answer. Don't ask me about the dollars and naira. I won't be able to help you with that. All right. So I got the first question from Amaka. Say, doctor, is it compulsory to take the cervical cancer vaccine when your child is not sexually active? Yes. Yes. The idea is for you to take the vaccine before the child becomes sexually active. Okay. So I think that's okay. So Amaka, I think you need to listen to my podcast or the ATP hour of last Thursday on HPV and cervical cancer. So HPV is a virus that is sexually transmitted. In fact, it's the most common sexually transmitted infection. So by the time people have sex, you're going to have HPV infection. And 90% of people will say clear the infection from the body, but a few of us, percentage, will end up developing chronic HPV infection, and those are people that are going to have cervical cancer. And HPV infection is not linked to whether you are having multiple sexual partners or not. No, almost everybody was because it's one of those very common virus. So, and for the women, if you have HPV infection, you may end up developing cervical cancer. 95% of cervical cancers are linked to HPV infection. So the idea is that if we have immunized our girls before they are sexually active, then they will be protected against HPV infection and they are not likely going to have cervical cancer. For those of you who already their mothers and you've not been immunized before, to protect yourself against cervical cancer is you can get the HPV vaccine. That's okay, but the reality is that you have most likely have been infected already. And so for yourself, what you need to do is the cervical smears, or what we call pap smear. Like, you have to take screening of the cervical area from time to time every 3 years, so that we check whether there are what we call the pre-cancer stage. There will be abnormalities in the cells of the cervix, and once we see those abnormalities, we know that these are changes that may likely develop into cancer in future. And at that point, it is treatable. So we can treat you, we can remove those abnormal cells, we can do so many things so that you don't develop cervical cancer. Once the woman has developed cervical cancer, it's almost a death sentence. It's one of the top killers of our women. Almost 50% of people that have cervical cancer are going to die from it. So there's no reason why anybody should die from it. If we can prevent it, if we can get our girls immunized before they are even ready for sexual intercourse, so that they are already protected before they get exposed to the HPV infection. But for those of us who are already exposed, older women, we need to go for our regular cervical screening, doing our pap smear every 3 years, and making sure that there are no abnormal cells. And if there are, our doctors will tell us what to do. So it is compulsory, and it's something that is done in every other country. Just that it is relatively new to us in Nigeria, but it's something that is already available. All right. Okay. So please take your girls for it. All right. So, and it's available and it is free. Okay. When I took mine, I have to pay for it. But now, if you don't have to pay, you can get it for free in your health center. So please go and get it as soon as possible. All right. Funkins Beauty say, what causes slow weight gain in a newborn despite feeding well? All right. Weight gain in babies. Okay. So, weight gain is related to many things. Of course, we all know food is part of it, but there are other things that will affect weight in children. Yeah, and it's a bit of a broad uh, um, topic. So when you say a child is not gaining weight, number one, we have to start for the newborn. Is it a pre-term baby? Is it a term baby? All right, that's number one. Number two, how is this baby being fed? Okay, number three, we need to know whether there are other health issues. For example, if a baby has a congenital disease, that baby may not gain weight. If baby has chronic health issues, sometimes they will not gain weight. So if a baby's blood level is low, sometimes they will not gain weight. So there are many medical issues that will make a child not to gain weight. But the first thing, first and foremost, is food, of course, which is the most common one. So we need to make sure that our babies are being properly fed. And then we also need to know that when you say a child is not gaining weight, what is the weight? Because sometimes our expectation may be wrong in terms of what you expect a baby's weight to be. So I always like very specific information to say, what is the birth weight of the baby? What is the weight now? After how many days? After how many weeks? So that we can have um, a objective assessment to say, okay, yeah, because sometimes mothers say maybe it's not gaining weight and the weight is actually more than even okay for the baby's weight. Because sometimes we compare our babies according to other babies, and sometimes for one reason or the other, all mothers like their babies in that first few months and year of life. You want them to be chubby and fat and all that, and then when they are not teenagers, you want them to be slim. So for us, this is not about the baby looking fat and chubby. It's about the baby having what is a normal weight for their age, healthy weight. So we need figures to know that. So if your baby is, and for a newborn baby, should be on breast milk only, exclusive breastfeeding. So if you're breastfeeding exclusively and your baby is sucking on demand, you're lactating well, and you think your baby is weight is the same or is losing, then you have to see a pediatrician so that we can look at whether there are other health issues, because sometimes that's the first thing that will help us to know that something is wrong and we need to address it. So you have to see a pediatrician. We can do what we call a detailed assessment. We'll check all the hard, do all the necessary blood work, and then we can tell you this is the cause of this poor weight, and then we can address it depending on what is causing it. So it's very important to always see your pediatrician as well, right? I hope Funky Beauty that answer your question, but it may be more relevant if you give us a more specific scenario so that we can narrow it down. All right. Okay. Sweetie Liz, say, how long does it take for premolar to grow out? Premolar. Okay, how old is your child? My son is 3 years and 8 months. Has complained of one side of his gum aching, and now the second side is aching without the tooth breaking out. I don't think you should assume that for your 3-year-old it's the teeth that is coming out. Most children already have all their teeth, what we call the primary teeth, is always completed by the age of 2 years. So we don't expect anything from around 2 years to 6 years, when they will now start to lose their teeth, and then they'll begin to have the permanent teeth come out. So it's best to go see a doctor or the dentist. Let them have a look at the child's gum for you. And I just to remind us that the dentist wants us to bring our children to them from the age of 1 year. So all our children should be seeing the dentist once they turn 1 year, whether they have teeth or not. You should see the dentist, and then the dentist will be seeing them every 6 months. I know it's not something we routinely do in this part of the world in Nigeria, but it's something we should be doing, and the dentist would like me to remind you of that. So please, for this child, anything with their gums, anything with their teeth, always see the dentist. So I'm not really sure is the teeth trying to come out, because you should count the teeth your children have by now. If you have 20, if you have 20, that is what we expect for the primary set of teeth, and then for the for the secondary or the permanent teeth, usually that will start again from age of 5 to 7 years, not 3 years 8 months. No, very unlikely. But I'd rather you just see the dentist to have a quick look. Okay, so Funky Beauty is telling us your baby's birth weight is 2.6 and he has gained, the weight is now 4 kilos at 10 weeks. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. So usually when babies are born, they lose weight for the first 10 days, and by the 2 weeks they will regain their birth weight. So that is at age of 2 weeks they regain their birth weight, and then after that they gain roughly about 30 grams a day. That is averagely, and so which means most babies will gain about um, 900 grams in 1 month. So that's about 1.8 grams in 2 months. So for your baby, 2.6 to walk to 4 kilo, that's about 1.4. That's not too bad. Average is 1.8, 1.4. I will not worry about that. I would just say you need to just make sure you keep breastfeeding your baby frequently and exclusively. That's all you need to do. All right, let me go back to Facebook. Till Bells. Is that okay? My baby is 7 months. I've tried everything possible to make her eat, but to no avail. I've gone through the complement feeding right up, practice everything there, but we still fight before she even take a little. I'm still breastfeeding her. All right. So some children are fussy eaters naturally. I mean, some children are just not. Um, they are fussy, in terms of when it comes to the food. So for your child, what is more relevant to me is what is the weight of this child? What is the birth weight? What's the current weight? That is more relevant. So we know whether the baby is gaining, is having enough weight. So some children are fussy, they will eat a little, but as long as they are maintaining a healthy weight, that is fine. It doesn't have to be they don't have to finish everything you want them to finish. Because sometimes I think we also give them more than what they need actually. So it's best to tell us this is the weight of my child. Then we will know if your child is not gaining weight or your child's weight is underweight, for his age or our age, then that is when we will need to take it a step further. Then that's when you need to see a pediatrician, you need to see a dietitian, and they will give you more support around that. But make sure you're also following each of our tips on feeding your children. Make sure the child feeds at the same time with the rest of the family. Experiment with variety of food, and if they like a particular food, it's okay to give them more and more of that. It's okay if they want to eat it every day, while you also work on giving them a little bit of other things as well and all that. So you may need a more one-to-one support from a dietitian or pediatrician, but the most important thing for us to even know whether before the dietitian or the what's it called, the pediatrician, they will get involved. They need to know the weight of the child. We need to know, is the child having normal weight or is the child losing weight, and that's when they will be able to give you some support around that. Olayemi, why is baby of 18 months hold poo drawing? So your baby's poo is a reflection of what you're feeding your baby. So when you're asking questions about stools, it's always a good idea to just tell us exactly this is what I feed my baby with. So, and including other things to give like drugs and all that, because all those things can affect how your baby's stools uh, come across. So make sure you're feeding your baby appropriately, and then then you will be able to know if there's anything. So that's what is important. All right. So, okay. Let's move on. Please, I noticed my baby's head is warm whenever I place my hand on her head. The temperature is warm. I check the temperature, it's not up to 37. So if your baby's temperature on the thermometer is not up to 37, that is normal temperature, irrespective of what you feel. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the head feeling warm, especially because blood is going through the head, and so sometimes it feels a little bit warm to touch, but that does not mean anything as long as the child is not having fever. And for the child to have fever, the temperature has to be at least 37.5 and above. So there's nothing to worry about your baby. All right. Somebody say your child is having green stool. Always start with the age of the child. When you want to ask any questions, start with the age of your child and tell us how you're feeding your baby. So, because you didn't put the age of your child now, we can't give you any recommendation about that. All right. Okay, let's see. I don't think there's any question on Instagram as well. No, okay. So feel free to post your question. Uh, yeah, okay, your child's okay. 2 months. I think you said your child is 1 year, 7 months. So your baby's birth weight was 2 kilos. So the first thing, your baby was born low birth weight. So was your baby born preterm? Okay, because if your baby is already small from birth, that will explain also it reflects on the weight. So why was baby small? Was baby born before 37 weeks? Or was there a problem during pregnancy? That's number one. Number two, your baby is actually on the weight because your baby is already 1.5 years old. Your baby should weigh at least not less than 11 kilos. So if your baby is weighing 8 kilos, that is on the weight. Um, so definitely you need to see a pediatrician and a dietitian as well so that they can walk you through the quantity, how often you feed the baby and all that. You definitely need to see them because when children are underweight is a risk for so many other issues. Usually when children are sick, children who have good weights, they are able to fight infections on their own, they're able to fight diseases on their own. But once children are on the weight, then any little it already means that their immunity is kind of reduced, is suppressed. Malnutrition is one of the number one cause of immunosuppression. And when the immune system is not optimal due to the underweight, malnutrition, then even ordinary malaria, they can be very sick. Even small viral infection that most children will just have and they'll be fine. For them, it can make them very ill. So we don't like our children being on the weight. We want them to have a good weight. So you really need bells. You need to see a pediatrician and a dietitian about your baby's weight. All right, for that, my 3 months old baby strain before she pull and it is not hard. Yeah, babies do that and it's nothing to worry about. So as long as the stools are not hard, don't worry about all those noise and straining and drama around the pool. Babies sometimes do that, but it doesn't mean there's anything wrong. So just keep breastfeeding your baby exclusively. Okay, so Tibet, if your baby was born at 36 weeks, you have to correct the baby's age. So even then, your baby is 1 year, 7 months. So the corrected age is 1 year, 6 months, which is 18 months, which is at least we expect a weight of 11 kilos. You really need to see a pediatrician about your baby's weight because it's really not optimal. How many minutes do we check temperature? So it depends on the instrument you are using. So most of the digital thermometers, they give you a beep when it is time for you to read. So you should get a beep when you put in a thermometer. If you're using the infrared one, you will see it's most of them tend to give you a beep, but usually most of them you have to put in for like 2 minutes or so. But just follow the instruction of the particular type that you are using because there are different kind of thermometers. So follow the instruction of how you should do it and wait. Most of them because we know that parents are using it and we know that parents need to know when to read off. So usually for the one for parents, it usually gives you a beep when it is time for you. You hear it doing the sound, then you know it's time for you to read the temperature. So always wait and make sure you put it in the right place, either under the armpits or under the tongue. Whatever they ask you to do, just follow that instruction. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's take this question and then we'll move on. My 3 months old baby 4.4 kilos and birth weight was 3.5. So for a 3 months old baby, we're expecting to be weighing closer to 5.5 by now because the baby at least in 3 months should have gained some averagely 2.7 kilos. So not to worry, but you really need to feed the baby properly. Please, we recommend that you breastfeed your baby exclusively. When I say exclusive breastfeeding, I always like to qualify because I notice a lot of mothers always tell me I'm doing exclusive breastfeeding, but they're also giving water, they're also giving this and that. And so in their mind, when they say exclusive breastfeeding, they just meant breastfeeding. That's not what we meant by exclusive breastfeeding. Exclusive breastfeeding means giving breast milk only. No water, no drugs, no agbo, no formula, nothing else except breast milk. That is exclusive breastfeeding. I want you to breastfeed your baby on demand. So you breastfeed them as often as they want, and then you make sure that they empty the breast and you alternate your breast. So those are the important things for us to remember. And if you're breastfeeding your baby exclusively, then they will gain weight well. And if they are not gaining weight, then we need to check that there is no medical problem that's going to explain why they're not gaining weight. Okay, let me go back to Instagram because I have one or two questions. Um, Oluwa Mayo Mikun. Good evening, dog. My baby of 5 months is having green what? Although some yellowish color can be seen in it. I don't understand. Do you mean the pool is greenish? Okay. 6 times a day. So the question is, how are you feeding your baby? Okay, it's on exclusive breastfeeding. So if your baby is on exclusive breastfeeding and it's passing greenish stools, then it means your baby is not getting enough. You need to make sure you are breastfeeding that baby frequently. Make sure that also another thing that could affect the color of your baby's stool is what you're also taking. If you're taking any drugs or any particular food that has pigments that can be passed through your breast milk, it can also affect your baby's stools as well. So also what's more important also is the weight of your baby at this 5 months. Is it appropriate? So those are the kind of things we want. So make sure you breastfeed your baby, and when you breastfeed, make sure they empty the breast, because there are two parts of breast milk. We have the what we call the fore milk and the hind milk. The fore milk is the beginning part of the breast milk. It tends to be watery. Okay, and the idea of that part is that's actually the water. That's why you don't need to give your baby water when you breastfeed, because 60%, 70% of breast milk is water, and the fore milk tends to be watery, and that is the water part of breast milk. But the hind milk tends to be fatty, creamy, and that is the where most of the fat and the carbohydrates that will make the baby to gain weight and that satisfies the babies, that is where it is. So that's why if you breastfeed your baby for less than 5 minutes, most of the time they've only taken the fore milk and not the hind milk. And those are the kind of baby that after a few seconds they want to breastfeed again because they will be hungry again. So make sure that they empty the breast completely, and then you also, if they still want to suck more, then you change the breast to the other side, and make sure you're always alternating the breast. Okay, and pay attention to any food or drugs you are taking yourself, because it can also affect your baby's stool. All right, so the greenish stool itself is not a problem. It is, what is it telling us? Is it telling us that you're not giving your baby enough breast milk, or is it telling us there's something that you are taking that is coloring the baby's stool? So that is the information that we really need and we need to address. So, but if your baby is gaining weight well and your baby is otherwise well, we will not worry about it. So nothing to worry about. Ebere Collins, good evening. Can a pregnant woman has breast and stomach? You cannot have breast milk before the birth of your baby. So a pregnant woman does not often have breast milk. You may have a little bit of water sometimes come out from your breast, but we don't expect you to be lactating when you are pregnant. So it's very unlikely. All right. So usually it is after you have your baby and your baby starts sucking on your breast that your milk will start to flow. So that's what we call milk lets down. So that's why we say within 1 hour of having your baby, you must put the baby to the breast. It is the sucking of the baby on that breast that will allow the milk to flow. So you should not be having breast milk flowing when you are pregnant. Very, very, very unlikely for it to happen. So but if you're having that, then you really need to see your gynecologist obstetrician. There's something else abnormal there. So Luamayokun, my daughter and the 5 months old have rashes in the chin. What can be the cause? All right. I really wish I have that magical power to just know the cause of a rash without saying it. It's impossible. So Mayokun, we have to see a rash before we can say this is the cause of a rash. And then that's when we can now tell you what to do. So it is impossible to tell you the cause of any rashes that we have not yet seen. All right. So if you want to ask this kind of a question, you can put this on our Facebook group. You can put a picture, and then we can give you an advice. We can tell you whether we think it's something allergic, whether it's something infectious, like it could be a viral infection, it could be fungal infection. Sometimes we're able to state that. Sometimes we still need to ask you a lot more questions about the rashes themselves. Are they itchy? Are they spreading to other parts of the body? Which parts of the body? So there are many questions doctors need to ask to be able to know the cause of rashes, and it's the cause of rashes that will determine the treatment. So unfortunately, you can't put a picture on an Instagram comment, so we won't be able to say it and won't be able to tell you. So I would just encourage you to post it on our Facebook group, because you can put a picture, and please try and give us more information. This is how long the rashes have been. They are only on the chin, or they are all over the body, or they are itching, or they are not itching, or they have little water, or they don't have water, or they have pores. Those kind of information, very important, and it helps the doctor to help you make a diagnosis of what is causing the rashes, and then we can now advise you on what to do. All right. Instagram. Let me go back to Facebook. Okay. So, Ungu Lefak. Good evening. Thanks for all the teaching. My 9-month-old has refused to eat food and prefers only breast milk. I've been trying all sorts of food, but to no avail. He eats only very little portion, and that's it. Okay. I'm worried he looks so small. I feel it's not getting enough weight. Wait at 6 months is 7, but what is the current weight? Okay. We really need to know the current weight of your baby. So a 9-month-old should be taking more than breast milk. 9 months old needs to take other food in addition to breast milk. Okay. If you are not okay, you're not on our Facebook group. If you are not, you can go to our Facebook group. We have a guide section, guide 2 on complementary feeding, where we have tried to put together all these short videos that give you practical skills on how to give your children complementary feeding. The fact that your child is eating is fine. Your worry is that your child is only taking a little. It's okay if the child is taking a little. What you just need to do is to give the child more often. So maybe you need to feed more frequently. Since the child will only take a little at a time, you feed more frequently. Also try variety of food, and make sure you don't give up easily. So some of us will give our baby food one day and they didn't take that food that day, then we just hands off and say the child is not eating. Then you go to the next one the next day. That is not going to work. So for you to give a child new food, you need to offer it at least 13 times. That's what we recommend. I always say practically 1 week, you offer it again and again and again and again, 3 times. So you don't give up day one. And because that's what happened when I see mothers telling me the baby is 7 months old and then, oh, we've tried all the food. There's no way you could have tried all the food in the world in 1 month of complementary feeding. If you are doing that, then you're not following the principles of complementary feeding. Okay. And give your child the same thing you eat. Then some of us want to give our children so-called baby food. You want to go and buy something in the shop. You don't have to. Give your child the same food you eat, your same yam, you mash it, the same rice, the same amala, the same semo. Give your child everything you eat, even from that 6 month old. Sometimes that's up, because I see mothers ask me, oh, my baby doesn't want to eat baby food, but baby wants to eat the food I'm eating. And I'm like, that's again, it's fact that mothers don't understand that complementary feeding is giving your baby the food that you eat. There's no special baby food anywhere. You don't need to buy anything in the store. Okay. So, and then we also need to remember the quantity, the frequency. Sometimes some of us want the baby to take the same quantity they take as their milk when they were taking milk. No, the quantity of complementary feeding is usually smaller because the calories is higher even for that small quantity. And then we need to try. Then let's make feeding fun time. Let's not but to feed complementary feeding, it has to be with a cup or plate and spoon. Let's try variety, color. Let's make it colorful. Let's make feeding time a chore for the baby. Let's make it fun time. All right. And then be patient. Okay, some of us are always impatient. We just want to tick off feeding the baby as one of our chores for the day, one of our to-do lists. No, just be patient with them and try and feed them for as long as they can tolerate. Give them snacks that are healthy. Give them banana in their hand. Give them a boiled egg in their hands. Give them a carrot, something they can hold and be easy on their own from 9, 10 months, so they can do that. Don't give them alternative of biscuits, all those pastries, cheese balls, and all that junk food. Don't give them alternative junk food. Give them real food, and be patient. And the more you do, the more they will eat. So there are a lot of webs. I mean, this is days of technology, social media that are devoted to all this variety of baby meals, different way people prepare meals. Just experiment with some of them. Go to those sites, try some of those things, and you may be surprised your child will like this. Just keep when your child like that one, it's okay to give much of that until you had more, and that is how you keep on increasing the range of food that your child will eat. So, and if you see struggle, please see a dietitian. That is a specialist that takes care of feeding. They can give you more tips. They can help you around, other strategies that you can use. So just try and see one of them, and then they can help you with that. All right. I hope that's helpful, Ngulifak. Let's move on. Nafisa, my 4 month baby weight 4.2, birth weight is 2.6. Is it okay? Your baby's weight could be better, but just keep breastfeeding your baby exclusively. When it's appropriate to deworm children from the age of 1 year, you can deworm children. I would recommend you deworm them every 6 months. Some of you deworm them every 3 months. That is too frequent. Every 6 months is fine. So that's what we recommend you do. Lower Funkaina, thank you. Next question. My 9-year-old daughter pant is always dirty. Anytime she removes this in the evening, the vagina part, should I be worried? Okay, the first question is, how does she clean up? When she uses the toilet, you have to teach her the right way to clean. You have to make sure she's actually cleaning properly. Number one, some girls, when they use the toilet, they are always in a hurry. They don't do it properly. Number two, they clean from the back to the front. So you need to tell her you should clean from the front to the back. You must supervise her, teach her how to clean. When they're using toilet roll, they clean from the front to the back. When they go to the toilet to open the bowels. To number two, they must clean. Even when they wee, they must clean. Some girls says it's only when I poo that I need to clean. When I wee, they don't clean. So it may just be drips of the urine that is, making a pant dirty. She needs to clean up. So you just need to teach her hygiene, properly, and of course hand washing as well. So you may have to supervise her. And actually some girls in their school, they are, they don't want to use the school toilet, so they just want to rush in and rush out. So these are some of the things that you need to teach her as a mom. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with her. It's just improving on the. I don't think party line is the solution here. Is knowing how to do proper hygiene, proper cleaning up after she wheezes. So you need to tell her, even when you do a wee, you need to clean. If you want to do a poo, you must clean, and you must clean from the front to the back, and you clean until there's nothing on your tissue paper, and then you must wash your hands. That's all she needs to do. All right. And then make sure you use cotton pants as well. It's also important. Next question. What other shampoo aside from natural shampoo can I use to cure cradle cap on my 3-year-old baby? We don't even recommend that you use natural shampoo for cradle cap unless your pediatrician has prescribed that for you. So natural is a prescription. Okay, it's a medication. It's an antifungal medication, and so it should only be used if a doctor has prescribed it for you. So if a doctor has not prescribed natural, please do not use it. It's not something you use as a routine shampoo. So for cradle cap, what you need to do is to make sure you put in like olive oil or coconut oil on your baby's scalp. It will soak all the scales, and then in the morning use your normal baby shampoo to wash your baby's hair. You must wash it every day, and then you must comb out gently. You comb out all those flakes. That's all you need to do. you comb it out gently, and that's it. So if it's already that your child already has additional like fungal infection or something else, and that's why your pediatrician has prescribed Nigeria, and you can't find it, then you have to go back to your pediatrician for an alternative. But for regular cradle cap, you don't need to use Nigeria shampoo. You just use your normal baby shampoo first in the morning, and then make sure you comb it out. You comb out all the flakes gently of this all out, and that's all you need to do. All right. Okay. Next one. Good evening. What can be done to prevent bright holding spells? Nothing. Bright holding spells is something that can happen to some children. You can't prevent it. So it's not something to worry about. So for those who don't know, bright holding spells, when children, maybe they are angry and then they cry, and they cry to the point that they will hold their breath, they stop breathing, and then they may drop down and fall or something, or they go pale and all that. But after a while, they get themselves. It's not a convulsion, but usually you will notice there's always a trigger. The trigger is either you've shouted on the child or you beat the child. Usually you cause his mom, or you deny the child something, and then they cry, or they become so upset and cry, and then they stop breathing and then they fall. But the good thing is that they always outgrow it with time. So what you need to do is to, I guess, in terms of prevention, what you can do is to minimize situation that will require the child crying so much and then getting to hold their breath. But otherwise, it's not something to worry about. Most of them tend to outgrow it as they get older, and all those tantrums tend to get less. All right, okay. Good fact, thank you. Next question. Good evening, doc. My 1 month, 5 old baby, 5 day always training before he pull. It doesn't mean anything. I think we've answered this question already. Maybe you were not here then. As long as the baby's stools are not hard, it's nothing to worry about. Okay, it has something to do with the food you eat. Babies do that a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the stools are still normal stools. It's nothing to worry about at all. So just let it be. Oni Udoji Chinaza. Good evening, doc. My 5 month old had cough and catarrh last week. Took him to hospital. Blah blah blah. Eating was reduced. It's looking like he lost weight. Symptom of cough and catarrh is reduced very well, but it's still very irritable, crying much at night, still not feeling well, no temperature. Birth weight is 2.3 and current weight unknown. All right. So what is your main concern now? You say it looks like you lost weight, but you've not measured the weight, so we can't confirm that baby actually lost weight. And then I'm concerned about that crying at night, because cough and catarrh should not make your baby to be crying so much at night. So um, if that's the only thing in all the write-up that is of concern to me. So when you say crying, is baby crying like irritable? So the kind of crying that worries the pediatrician is the child who is crying continuously for no obvious reasons, and you can't seem to console the child. Like you try, we all know what we do when babies are crying. You carry them, you cuddle them, you pet them, and most times children will stop crying, or you breastfeed them and the cry will stop. So that is nothing to worry about. But if a child is crying so much and you are cuddling them, petting them, breastfeeding, and doing all the usual stuff you would do as a mom to get the baby to stop crying, and baby cannot stop crying, then I will worry about that, because that is what we call irritable cry. And irritable cry worries us about a possibility of a brain, something going on in the brain, infection and all that. And that is the only clause of your question that worries me. So if your baby keeps on being irritable, I'll recommend you go back to your doctors for a follow-up check. But if you meant the baby just cry a little bit more and then you cuddle them and they're fine, then I will not worry about that. Usually when children are sick, their appetite tends to reduce, so nothing is strange about that. For a 5 month old, what you should do is to breastfeed them anyway. And the purity is going to make your baby sleep a lot more. So that's what I think is going on with that. But The most important thing is to make sure that if your baby is very irritable, because you use the word very irritable, that very irritable is a red flag for me, and I really will say you need to go back and let your pediatrician have a look at the baby, because it's not a good sign when babies are very, very irritable. All right. Okay, you're saying you just feel irritable, wants to be carried on the body while you sleep. That is not irritable. The fact your child wants you to carry them instead of to sleep before they sleep on the bed, that we don't classify that as being irritable. That's just a child who just wants you to cuddle them. There's nothing wrong with that. And children will want more of that when they are not feeling well and all that. That is not the definition of being irritable. Irritable child is a child who is crying continuously for no reasons, and everything you are doing, including cuddling, carrying, and all that, is not helping the child to keep calm. That is our definition of irritable child. So that is what will worry a pediatrician. But a child will just want to be closer to you because they are not feeling well. That is natural. That is normal for babies. So we won't call that being irritable. All right. Let me check whether there's any more question on Instagram. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Ifedolakbo. This on me. Thank you. Say I love you, ma. Your post made me seek early intervention for baby's jaundice. I'm glad I did. I'm also glad you did, because I worry about jaundice. Yeah, thank God. Thank you for that feedback. Jaundice is an emergency, and most of our mothers don't realize that, because I see children who have neurodevelopmental disabilities like cerebral palsy and all that. And one of the most common causes in our own environment is severe jaundice. And because people don't take jaundice seriously, we give them purple water, we put them under lights. No, jaundice is not to be trifled with, because jaundice can cause brain damage. If your child has jaundice, you've got to go check it up. And there are jaundice that we don't need to treat, you just go home. But there are jaundice that we need to change the blood and to make sure that the child does not develop brain damage. So I'm happy that your baby is fine. That's good. Thank God for that. Emmanuel Shadi, my daughter of 10 months. Okay, your question is not complete. Can you complete it so that we can answer you? Thank you. Okay, only say you can't see posts on Facebook. Are you still part of the group? If you're in our group, you should be able to see posts. Make sure you are still in the group. I hope you are not one of our people that we bounce off the group, because some of you don't listen to us. We've already said that all the questions posted on the Facebook group, you don't comment on them, you don't answer them. Please leave it for the pediatrician to answer. But some of us mothers, we not mothers, well, I think usually mothers, I'm not sure I've ever blocked any father from answering questions. Usually mothers, we always try to answer. And ATP, we are very strict. If you break the rule, you are out. Because we have to be strict, because some of you give wrong answers and you mislead people. We take our group very, very seriously. We are dealing with matters that have to do with life and death. Some of you will give the wrong advice, and that may be the death of a child. So we don't joke around those kind of things. So it is ask the pediatrician, not ask mothers Facebook group. So when you come to our group, please don't break our rules. And the easiest rule to get you out of our group is commenting on a post that is meant for a pediatrician to answer. We've always begged, please don't, but some people don't listen. So we just have to bounce some people out of the group for that. So only I hope you are not one of those ones. So if you are one of them, sorry, but please always keep to the rules. Good evening. My baby of 2 years is prone to catarrh and cough. We are very careful what food she eats. What could be the problem? So when you say it's prone to, is your baby having recurrent cough and catarrh all the time? If your baby is having it like recurrently, you have to go to the hospital, because there are some conditions that could cause that. A child who is asthmatic, a child who has maybe obstruction on the airway, adenoids, and all that. So if your child is always having cough and catarrh, please see a pediatrician so that they can check for all those other causes. It may not be because you are not being careful. It may be there is something else that is an underlying factor going on. So that is what I'll recommend. Yeah, if your baby is having recurrent cough, recurrent thing like that, you have to see a pediatrician because it may be something. All right. Okay, honey. So you've never responded. Yeah, if you have never responded to question, then we won't block you on our group. So you search whether you search for our group. I'm sure you should be there, unless you change your. Yeah, we don't block people who don't disobey rules. All right. Emmanuel Shadi. Good evening, dog. My daughter of 10 months weighs 8.1. That is fine. Though it could be better, but usually you should say about 9, but 8 is not far from 9, so it's still within normal. So make sure your baby is eating well, complementary feeding, and your wife is still. I don't know whether this is mom or dad asking question. Emanuela Chadi, I guess mom. So make sure the child is still eating, breastfeeding, and eating age appropriate meals at least 3 times a day with at least one snack, healthy snacks. So that should be fine. All right. Uh, Thank you. I don't think I have any more questions. No, no more questions. All right. So thank you to those of you who have been here since 6. We'll soon be rounding up. Just to remind you once again, please take our girls 9 to 14, take them for the HPV vaccine. It's very, 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 very important. And remember, I was going to put a picture of our ATP first aid project has started, and if you want to download the online one, you can also download it. You can do the online course of it, and then there's this QR code that you can scan, and it will take you to where the course is. And if you want to support us, feel free to reach us on our WhatsApp number and our email. And thank you to those who have supported us. We really appreciate them because without them, we wouldn't have been able to do anything. Thank you so much. All right. So once we are half life, I thought, okay, somebody said, what is the average blood count? What do you mean by average blood counts? So when we say blood, there are a lot of things that go into blood. So we have the red blood cells, we have the white blood cells, we have the platelets. They are also part of the blood. So we don't talk about average blood counts, okay? Depending on which one you are talking about. So if you have done a blood test for your baby, always don't try and interpret it by yourself. Take the blood test to your doctor, and your doctors will be the one to interpret it, okay? Because they know what to expect for each aspect of that blood test. So for the red blood cells, for the white blood cells, there are different things that doctors look at in blood tests. So you have to see your doctor first, and then they will be able to tell you which one is normal and which one is abnormal. All right. All right. We're rounding up. I still have a couple more questions. Evelyn Sunday, thank you for the quick response. Can you recommend a food timetable for children from 6 months to 3 years or more? Okay, thank you for your question. The answer is no, we don't recommend food timetable. There's a lot of reason why we cannot do that. Number one, different cultures eat different food. Okay, so am I going to recommend food timetable for you based on my own tribe? I'm a Yoruba woman, and I can see that Evelyn Sunday is saying you're an Igbo woman. So the kind of food you eat may not be necessarily the same kind of food how we eat. How we eat amala and we do, or maybe you will eat one ofe, this or that. So you will recommend that you make your own food timetable. What we teach is the principles behind what you need to do, but you make your own food. So we teach you the principles of what we call the different classes of food. We teach you the principles of what we call the food plates. So each time you're giving your child food, there must be at least 4 different kind of food in one plate. So you must have the carbohydrates or the energy giving food. You must have the protein. It could be animal protein like fish, meat, or it could be plant protein like your granules, like your beans and all that. You must have your dairy, milk, cheese, butter. You must have your veggies. You must have your fruits. All those things. So you are the one that can now decide to combine it the way you want. Okay. And then what we also teach is the quantity, the frequency, and then each the what we call the percentage of each of those classes of food, how they mix together. So for example, now I may decide that for my breakfast today I'm going to do pap, and with the pap I'm going to add milk. Maybe I may break egg into it. The pap is the carbohydrate, the egg is the protein, of course the milk is the dairy. I may try to put a spoon of palm oil into it and boil it on fire. That palm oil is the fat and the oil, and that is a very good nice combined food. And I may decide to give my child maybe one piece of banana along with it, or I can even blend the banana into it or make it into it like a kind of a smoothie as well. So that is a combination of food that has at least 5 or 4 classes of food at once. That is what we make. Another time I may decide that instead of doing that, I may decide that, okay, I'm going to do the potato will be my carbohydrates, and then I'm going to add crayfish as my, I'm going to add a little bit of butter, and then maybe I'm going to cut in some peas or cut in some carrots. That will be my veg, and I mix it together, and that will still be a very nice thing. Then I may decide that, okay, maybe dinner I want to do amala with the wedu, with the Titus fish and all the. So we are so blessed with different kind of food. What you really need to understand is that principle. Then you can decide how you mix it together and make your own timetable and just stick to it, depending also on what your child likes. What if I put pap in your own and your child doesn't like pap? Maybe the child prefers to take what is called oatmeal instead. It's still the same principle. Is instead of using pap, I'm using oats, or I'm using millets or something. So what is important is for you to get the principle. Once you get the principle, you sit down, look at what your child likes, look at the kind of food you eat in your family, and then you make your own timetable. So we don't recommend any timetable for any, because every family has their own different culture, what you like eating and all that. As long as you are giving those variety of food, you are mixing it in the right proportion, and your child is having a balance, what we used to call balanced diet, but we don't use the word balanced again. We tend to use the word adequate kind of food, having the right kind of food plates. And these days they're selling all those kind of plates that they've put it into like 4 portions. And the idea is to help us remember that you must make sure that into each of those portions you are putting something different, and that way your child is going to have a good combination of food. So if you go to our Facebook group, we're on our Facebook page, but if you go to our Facebook group, we have the guide section. We have it's also on our page as well. We have all these videos on complementary feeding. I want you to watch those ones, read the article on our website, or listen to my podcast on Infant Feeding the First 1,000 Days. We explain how this principle. Once you get the principle, you can make your own meal timetable, and it will be different from mine, and it will be different from the next person, but it will be very good for your own child, because you know what your child likes, you know what you eat in your family, and that is how you're going to make your own meal. There's no universal timetable that works for everybody. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So I hope you understand why we don't do a meal timetable. That is just that. We just leave it to you. We teach the principles, and then we leave you to make it by yourself. All right. Emmanuel Ashadi, you still don't understand the concept of blood. So when you say blood count percentage, you are not asking the right question. So what I've told you is just go to see your doctor. If your child has done a blood test, don't worry about the interpretation. Let your doctor explain to you what is normal or abnormal, because you need to know what percentage of what. Is it the white blood cells you're talking about, the breakdown of the white blood cells? Are you talking of the red blood cells? So you're not asking the right questions, and that's why I'm saying you don't need to try and understand that. Just ask your doctor to explain the blood test to you, and that will be helpful. All right, last question, and then we go. My baby will be 10 months. He has not started crawling. So some babies never crawl. Some babies don't crawl. There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't crawl. And it's nothing abnormal. Some babies just do what we call bottom shuffling. They move with their bum. They don't crawl on their hands and their knees. So it's nothing to worry about. We don't worry about crawling because not everybody crawls, but we worry about the fact that if the child has neck control, if the child can sit on their own without any support behind the back. So you will be able to do that. You'll be able to sit without any support with the back straight. Then how does the baby move around? Your baby moving with the bum, or your baby moving, how does the baby move? Baby rolling and all that. There are many ways babies can move without necessarily crawling. So that's what worries. And then of course we want children standing, sometime by 1 year and walking. But if they don't walk by 18 months, then that is when we also worry about it. So there are different milestones. If you want to know more about milestones, you can check our Facebook, our website. There's an article on that, and we also give you what we call like when do you start to get worried, or when do you seek the pediatrician's intervention. So, and I think that's what really matters. But crawling, plus or minus for most babies, anyway. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. I hope we've been able to help you with some of your questions. But if you still have any questions, please go to our Facebook group, Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. We are there 24/7, Mondays to Saturday. You can post your questions there, and our team of moderators and professionals, our pediatricians, will try and answer your questions as soon as we can. So we usually say within 72 hours, but most time we answer your question within 24 to 48 hours, depending on how technical your question is. Question that require a pediatrician, we may wait longer, but if it's a straightforward question, our moderators can also answer that for you as well. So thank you so much. And if you want to learn more about specific health issues, please go to our website, www.askthepediatricians.com, or follow us on our podcast, Ask Dr. Baby ATP podcast. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Most of the podcast platform, you'll find us there. So you can learn and you can read on our website as well. And you can support our outreaches. Okay, all the details are also on our website, our Facebook group. And every Thursday, I do a teaching at 10 a.m. on ATP Hour. I will talk about specific topics. So I've been doing the series on the vaccine preventable diseases, and last week I talked about HPV vaccine and cervical cancer. So I encourage you to listen to all these resources, or watch or read all these resources to help you, to empower you to take better care of your children. And if you have any questions or any other things you would like to discuss with ATP, feel free to email me, askthepediatricians@gmail.com, or Dr. Bimi at askthepediatricians.com, and we will get back to you. So till I see you same time next Monday, or on Thursday for ATP Hour by 10 o'clock in the morning. Have a wonderful evening, and it is bye. Bye-bye from me. Bye.